Look who's here.
It's
Tim James.
And it's Lee Strauss. What's going on?
That's
High five,
right,
brother.
Hey, man. Let me figure out how to do that.
We're
Anyway,
trying.
welcome to Friday, guys. I am so happy you're here. We're here. It's been 2 weeks off. We've been, kind of playing hooky a little bit, so just a little bit. But we're back and we're happy to be back. I have been waiting all week. There's been so much news, Tim, for the last 2 weeks. Holy smokes. And not only that, it seems like news keeps breaking every day. And
Yes.
It's just incredible stuff. We're going to get into that definitely for you guys. Let's welcome everybody in.
All right.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome everybody. And look at that. It's Race Fan. He's in the gold medal position. Unbelievable. So we got Race Fan. Welcome to the show. And who else we got going on here? We've got Lee. Hey, Lee's here at the show too. He's all in the chat room about 1,000 times. Mel WD40 lubing it up. He's the man.
That's
Thanks,
right.
Lube. Thanks, Captain Lubster. And thanks for coming on in. Deb from SAC. I don't see any cartwheels, but thanks for coming on in. And who else have we got here? Chill Farm Brisbane. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming in. Frankie B. Good evening, sir. And we got J Truth Seeker. Right on. Necessary Dialogue. Hello. And Wes Decker. There's a guy. How you doing, boys? All right, everybody. We have also Pam Harris is in the room. And yep, I think I've got them all covered as quick as possible. So everybody, welcome to the show. And
Sicko Frey is at the bottom.
What's that?
Psycho Frey.
Oh, there we are.
And Joe?
Joe Monroe. Right on. Everybody's popping in. See, I'm just new at this. I got to.
And Tim Mothman. Welcome. Hey, guys, we are about to run the intro, and then we'll get back with anybody that's popped in since then. All right. So let's do that.
Intro.
That is a cool intro. I did not ask you, sir, and I'm sure if you have any footage that you would like me to put into the intro, I am absolutely happy to do so.
All right. Well, I'll remember that. I'll make note of it. So during the intro, we had some more people pop in.
Yes,
so let's see who else we got. We got Billy Gunn that showed up. Hey, Billy, thanks for dropping in. Cass is here. Good to see you. Pam Harris. Who is Pam? And let's see, we got Tim Mothman with T-Bone, my man. Excellent. T's in tonight. That's awesome. Thank you for dropping in. Destiny Rocks is here. Unbelievable. Thank you for coming in. I'm super glad to see you. And as I scroll on through here,
Cass, Wes Decker.
Yeah, I got Wes Decker for sure, and I got Cass. No, and I think that's we're down to the end of our list. But if anybody else pops in during the show, make sure we say a little howdy to you.
Absolutely. Howdy, Tim.
Yeah.
Holy cow, my friend. What
Yes.
is going on with the JFK files? Oh my gosh. I know. It's been going on for 2 weeks, right? And
Well.
we have been absent. But I have asked you and talked to you several times about possible UFO connections with the JFK files. And if you have anything that you could grace us with tonight, I would be so happy.
Well, I think some of the stuff that is going on about with the UFO and the JFK and any sort of association with that at this point in time is still, even though the letters and the paperwork have come out, and JFK had written a letter about 10 days before his assassination, and he had asked that he wanted disclosure on and to work with the Russians on certain outer space and UFO stuff, and what is knowledgeable, or what they know for the knowledge, and what they think is not human knowledge. So that happened, and it was an interesting letter. Some people have come up and said that in the posts and stuff like that, that it wasn't necessarily, a lot of people thought that might have been faked or forged, or somebody had reproduced it. But the other side of it is that excuse me, is that a lot of people kind of jumped on that letter, especially people in the UFO community, and they kind of jumped on it. And there was a lot of people that wanted to hang their hats off it. And I was kind of, I'm not sure why we're grabbing onto this. I think we're just, again, it's a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but I don't necessarily think that was necessarily what caused all of this. I think maybe it played a small piece in a bigger picture, but yeah, I'm not putting a lot of stock into this letter that he wrote, and it being, the woo factor of him losing his life, right?
Right. I don't think it's the flashpoint, right? I mean, there was many other things that went on, right? And it's not like we can hang our hat on one particular thing, right? But for us in the show, I mean, if he actually said stuff about, possible ET stuff going on, I mean, that's groundbreaking. If we can find the actual document, I think the document you're referring to was released quite a while back, actually, and wasn't part of the documents that were recently released. Is that correct?
I think so. I only came across it after the documents were released, but I mean, in all 100% fairness, I'm a Canadian kid that we didn't. I mean, I know what it's about and who JFK was, but that wasn't part of our history in school. As obviously my friends and our friends in the U.S., I'm sure that was probably a big part of your social studies or your history classes or whatever. But yeah, different. It was a little bit different up here. It was a worldwide thing, obviously, when it occurred.
Right.
But yeah, I think I was born about 2 years after he left the earth, so to speak. And but this letter, like I say, sorry, kind of drifted off there, but this letter, I just saw it this time, like during this massive release of paperwork that just recently came out. So again, wasn't thinking too much of it, like, oh, okay, this is really juicy. I think it's just a little bit of pepper on top of the meal, so to speak.
Yeah. And I had heard things about this sort of thing way back when, that it was very possible that he was planning on coming out with some documents or some evidence of some sort, alluding to the fact that there are, NDEs here on Earth or visiting us and that sort of thing. And that might have contributed to his assassination.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, there was a lot of things that he was doing that we believe led to what had happened, right? You
Agree.
know, and I don't want to get political
No.
or anything on our show, but I do worry about the president that we have now and the fact that he does have on his docket the fact that he wants to bring forth UFO files and all of
Mhm.
this other stuff. You know, I do worry that a similar sort of thing could happen. And, you know, and I think that I would be remiss if I did not mention my concern about all that. Not that I'm a big Trump person, but it wouldn't be good for the country as
No.
far as I'm concerned.
No, and I can understand that. I mean,
Mhm.
we obviously don't, like you said, we're not going to get all political and stuff like that. There's people that we like, and there's people that we don't like in everything that we do. There's that waiter or waitress at the restaurant that we may not like. It is what it is, right? But
Right.
to do something horrific to somebody
Mhm.
because of out of anger or dislike or whatever, yeah, that's not cool. And you're right, because if you look at what with the Kennedy thing, with his assassination or unliving, whatever, however you want to put it, I when I was reading through some of the stuff, boy, did he make a lot of people angry. And I thought, huh, there's a lot of people like in different countries, in different groups, and even in the United States of America that we're not happy with him. So I get where you're going, because it's like, hang on a second, that sounds like somebody else. And
Yeah, exactly what I'm talking about. That's
right,
exactly what I'm saying.
right. And I'm
Yeah.
not condoning this. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, ooh, there's a parallel that may not be something that you want to be you be too proud about, right? So
Exactly. And um, so my I guess we pretty much touched on that.
yeah.
But there's other things at play with the CIA and with
Mhm.
the FBI and with all of these other agencies, right?
Yeah.
That have all seemed to have their hand in the mix, so to speak. And not only that, but the mob as well, right?
Yeah.
And foreign countries. And it seems like this soup that has been stirred up, right?
Yep.
And it's like it's congealed. It's all of this, everything all at one time. And
Mhm.
and darn it, if it doesn't seem like that same thing is happening again, you know?
Yes.
And
Yep.
not only that, when you look back at Kennedy, that's the time when MK Ultra started out
Mm.
and all of that stuff too. So,
Yep.
you know, makes you wonder, makes you
Yeah.
wonder.
It does, and it's hopefully like, yeah, there's too many parallels already, and
Mhm.
you're right. It's kind of like, oh, let's hope not, but
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
exactly. Well, Tim James, you're up there in Canada and it sounds like you guys have got an election coming up.
Yes, we do, and yep, we do. Let's just go there. If it's if we do, I think there's a large majority of us that are quite happy that that's going to be happening. So,
Okay.
um, we will see. And again, you know, loving our neighbors down south, and I'm just hoping that whatever happens and whichever way it goes up here, that we still they're, we're just we're up here letting you know we still love you guys. It's just some
Yeah.
other stuff that's a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah.
questionable. So well, I'm hoping that everything turns around for us up here and as well, and we have get back to a very very tight and good relationship and a working relationship and a trade relationship and all that with our friends in the
Mhm.
U.S. So let's
Yeah.
cross our fingers.
Yeah. Yeah. My I'm gonna try,
Yeah,
James.
yeah.
Tim. I'm going to try to speak for the people down here in the US and ask you, are there any candidates that are interested in bringing forth the truth about UFOs? Is there any of that happening?
Up here, it never really as much. I mean, everybody looks to the US, but up here in Canada, not a lot. I mean, we've got our Sky Canada project that's going on, and that has been slowly coming along. But in a Canadian way, we're doing it. I guess we're doing it a little bit different. Whereas they're not preaching that there's going to be any massive disclosure, but what they're trying to do is build a foundation so that where Canadians can report this stuff, where anything that is reported, cited, anything that happens with the Air Force or any military, they want it to come together and be able to um, I guess, file it in some sort of a semblance of order and be able to also work at science with it. Like, yeah, it's a little bit different than we want disclosure up here, right? And I mean, we
Mhm.
do. I'm sure everybody does. And I mean, but up here, I I don't see anybody pushing that. There's too much other stuff going on. I mean, it could go on a back burner and maybe be something that might help instigate some popularity, but there's far too much other stuff going on up here that needs to be addressed, and I don't think the UFO thing is really forward on anybody's plate right now.
That's the case, obviously. I mean, you're looking at people's lives right now,
Mhm.
right? And how they're able to fare the downturn in what's going on around us, right?
Yep.
So um I'm wondering, do you believe that the rest of the world expects the US to come forward with this stuff? Is everybody on a cliff waiting for the US to drop some information?
I th
Is it our responsibility?
I think it always has been. I think
Oh,
it always has been, hasn't it? I
oh,
think I think that, um it obviously conversation and stuff that I've had with people and different shows and stuff. I think what it is you guys, how would you put that? Are the gatekeepers of this, so to speak. You're the ones that kind of seem to uh, they have a little bit more control over it. So everybody looks to see now. Let's see what the U.S. is doing now. I'm not sure what everybody's freaking out about China right now and all some other stuff that goes along with it. But I don't see there being another leader. I think there's a race for disclosure amongst a couple of countries, and but I don't think I think everybody's peering over the fence and going, "What's going on over there?" And yeah,
right.
I mean
Yeah,
Scotland basically um, just went, okay, that's enough. We're not dealing with this anymore. We're not talking about it. They've disassembled their stuff. I mean, France, a little different. France has got it. If anybody ever wants to find out about how this should work, check out France's website and their government website for UFOs. They have everything itemized. They have the picture of it, who saw it, any videos, what the investigation was, who the investigators were. Like it's like an encyclopedia of every UFO event
wow.
that it's so cool. So yeah, everybody's looking to the US, I think, because like you say, they the huge government and the Congress and all that sort of stuff. And the US has been the power of
Right.
of forever. So everybody looks to Big Brother, so to speak, right?
Gotcha. And T-Bone is right about Paul Hillier. Absolutely. Holy cow. That guy came forth with a wave of information for sure. Absolutely. Yep, we can all look up to him for sure. So, along the same lines,
Hmm.
David Grusch, there's news on that. David Grusch
Yeah.
coming in
Yep.
and being a part of the task force to release information. Do you
Yeah.
want to get into that a little bit since you know more of the particulars on that?
Well, yeah. Well, what basically, so I've got it written down here too. So he was hired by the government. He's back in, and he put out a little thank you note, I guess you could say, yesterday, and what his plans are. I'm just trying to see if I can find if I've stored it away properly. There she is, right there. So what he said is he put out a note yesterday, and he says, "I'm both immensely humbled and deeply honored to join Congressman Burleson and his amazing team of professionals in pushing for government transparency. The public is rightfully demanding to know the truth, and it is my true privilege for me to serve the people of this country once again. I will use all my expertise to support Representative Burleson and help the U.S. Congress restore full oversight while enabling the legislative branch's ability to investigate and hold those accountable who have broken the law and lied not only to our Congress, but also to the Executive Office of the President, Director of National Intelligence, and the Department of Justice." So, again, 2 years of anybody seen or heard from him, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah, it's been a
bam.
while. It's been a
Yeah.
while. So what's going on there? He's been out of the spotlight. He's refused to come on numerous podcasts, as far as I understand it. Has somebody been tugging his ear?
Well, it's so hard to say, because we debated a little bit about this, not debated, but we had a discussion about this last night. And what first of all, you've been gone for 2 years and you don't show up. Why have you been gone for 2 years? Why didn't you just tell somebody what was going on? Was it your handlers? Was it you needing to take a break and regroup? Was it you actually trying to be do as you're told and fall back into line so you can get your credentials back? Like, what was going on? And then all of a sudden now you're here again, and yeah, it's so hard to say. Like, I mean, I know that he had some issues, obviously after, alleged issues with police and alleged issues, with home and stuff. And it's all, like I say, alleged. I don't know. I wasn't there to see any of it, but I'm curious. I'm curious to find out, where have you been and why all of a sudden are you back, and why didn't you say anything to anybody, or even just put it out in a press release? Look, I got to back away. I got to take care of my brain, my life, my whatever the case may be, and stop speculation, right? So I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
One of my thoughts here on this whole thing is, I've got plenty of UFO video and some photos and some things that I've taken over the years, over the last 14 years that I've been investigating. And it's like, do I take this information and put it on some sort of government website and possibly be scrutinized and be looked after? And now they're tracking me and blah, 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 blah. I mean, I would like to think the information that I have, it would be helpful to people, would be helpful in some way to bring something forth. And the other part of me is like, no, I just need to keep this on, on Facebook or those sorts of things, and YouTube, and not try to put that stuff out, because I'm worried, right?
Yeah.
Because people need to think about this. And it's not, it's something that's not going to just affect you. It will affect your family. It could infect your place of employment. I mean, you don't know how far it could go. So where does it stop? And I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It could get ugly, or it could be beneficial too, or both.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's such a salad of, like, and I listening to you talk, and while you're telling me that, my brain's going and off in its own little spaces, and I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, you know what? Lee's sitting here telling us this, and he is possibly concerned about maybe putting this out on a government website. I'll just keep it low key and stuff like that. If you're concerned about putting out video footage, what do you think the people that actually, the Navy people in the Air Force and commercial pilots, they see this stuff, and it's like, dang, I'm not even going to put this on Facebook. I can imagine the intimidation that and the trepidation that you may feel because I want to share it, and it makes sense because it's all from the goodness of, there's nothing malicious about it,
Mhm.
but I can understand why you wouldn't want to. I really do, and that's too bad because there's always, you know, that guy standing there, the old imaginary guy with the club behind his back waiting to go bonk.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Things could go south in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But there's some other news. Holy cow, there is a ton of news that has come out in the last week, within the last day. Like Mr. Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, that's my
Oh
boy.
my gosh. Now,
Yep.
you've read his book
Yep. A couple of times.
and a couple of times. Now,
Yeah.
wait a
It's
minute,
right
wait a
behind
minute,
me.
wait a minute,
It's right up
wait a
here.
minute. Now, for the layman, because I consider myself a layman, I just heard about this on
Uh-huh.
YouTube, just
Oh,
like
okay.
just like this morning. I'm like, what? What?
Mhm.
And you've probably known about this for what? A year, 2 years?
Oh, geez, a long time. Well, Love Walks In, the song that he did with Van Halen that they wrote together, that's about his experience, right? I kind of realized it, I think, when the videos were out, when the album was new and stuff. But yeah, I knew that he's very, very, very much into let's see, what is that? Your horoscopes and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Very, very into all of that. But his experience, he's had experience with, like, he was across the country, I think, when his father passed away. And when his father passed away, his father came to where Sammy was staying or whatever he was doing at the time. And that's what he said. He said, I felt my dad walk right into the room. And he says, and I knew that he was gone. And then he got the phone call, but it just keeps going. Like he's an experiencer. If I recall correctly, he says that he has been taken, and he's huge into this stuff, and it's great. I was on with this publicist for quite a few times and trying to get him on the show, and it was like, yeah, no problem, no problem. The publicist was answering me, but still nothing was happening. So I'm going to start barking up that tree again because in his book, he has some very, very, very cool stories about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, he would be great for Dave's show for sure. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of brings things full circle, or not full circle, but around again.
Hmm.
People that have experiences, they have more experiences and more experiences. It doesn't seem to be one experience. It seems like things, once something happens to you, you're opening the door,
Right.
just
Hmm.
like, and many of our listeners here tonight, once something happens to you, it opens a door. And then you start watching people like Tim James and I and Dave Scott. And
That's
the
right.
world goes downhill from there.
We apologize in advance.
Yes, absolutely. This is your warning.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, you're
Exactly.
right. You're right. Yeah. But it's funny because I'm still wrestling with my experience, right? I don't know what it is. I can't get around it, but I know something happened. Obviously, we talked about this on an earlier show,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of stuff that now I see happen that I go, huh, just weird little synchronicities that happen it's like, why would that have just happened to me? Or why did I just see that? Or why did I just hear or feel or, I sense something and it was I get that every once in a while. I'm still pretty how would you put it? Intrigued with people having callings. Now, I've never
Mm.
experienced that, I don't think, but hearing you talk about it and hearing Dave talk about it, and hearing other people involved with SOR stuff talk about they have to do something or go somewhere. That's what gets me. That is so cool. I have not experienced it. Kind of wish I had, but still.
We'll definitely get into the calling. I think we'll talk about that. But I want to say Deidre C, happy birthday.
Oh,
I'm watching the sidelines here, and you guys are talking about happy birthday to Deidre.
happy
So
birthday,
you know
Deidre.
what? Happy birthday from Element 115 and Tim James and myself.
You betcha. You betcha.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the calling.
Yes.
Let me try to explain that a
Okay,
little
that'd be
bit.
cool. Well, seriously, because I'm very interested in it.
So, for some reason, there have been times in my life where I felt like I needed to go to a certain location. Now, it may be a location that I haven't seen before,
Right.
or it may be a location where I've been close and I've seen it in person. Like, okay, it's just across the river. I need to go there. Or look on Google, and all of a sudden it's like this spot. I need to go to this spot, and I don't know why,
Okay.
but I need to go there. And it seems like now, since the thing happened with Jackie and I at Mount Adams, I've realized
Mm.
that it doesn't matter when you go, it's that you go. You
Yeah.
need to just go there. And when you go there to those locations that you've been called to, or it feels like you've been called to, that is the right time to go. And what I mean is it's out of time. It doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter. It's the fact that you went or that you go when you go,
Right.
when it, you know, so in the great scheme of things, it's a little bit out of time. Okay.
Gotcha.
So
Huh.
this spot that I'm going tomorrow, and I just found out today that I will be going alone because my partner, my friend, my good friend, Ander will not be going with me. So I will be going alone. And I started to think about this. Do I really want to do this by myself?
Right.
Being called to this location. And I'm like, I really don't want to do it by myself. But the situation arose where other people could not go as well. So I'm
Okay.
like, you know what? I need to go, and I'm supposed to go by myself because that's the way it's ending up.
And that's what your gut's telling you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Even
I
though
was
I'm
just
kind of freaked out by it, but
sure. No,
I'm to the point where, I will go, I will film it completely, everything. I've got several cameras already lined up, ready, are charged up, ready to go. So I'm going to go do it. And I'm not going to tell you guys exactly where, but
no.
I'm sure I'll be releasing a video in the next 2 weeks.
Well, that's awesome. See, that's funny. Like I've had what you've explained. I've had that where um I've looked at something or, been somewhere and go, I've got to go over there or Google Maps too. I've done that too. And got right there. What's right there? Why do I want to go there? And I have. I've never associated it with a calling and not to say that it wasn't or it was. But yeah, I get where you're coming from that because I have experienced that, but I've never put the two and two together, so to speak. So and I mean, I've listened to obviously Dave talk about his calling. Listened to Jack's call about hers with Mount Adams, and it always seems. And now seems to be some trepidation when and any of you have ever talked about it, and I'm like, gosh, that would be a very very weird feeling to have that. I'm being
Mhm.
called. I need to go there, but I'm scared poopless to go. Right?
That's
Yeah.
part of it. But when you don't have anybody, it seems like the universe lines things up on purpose for things to
Mhm.
happen a certain way, exactly when they're supposed to happen.
Yes,
Right.
for
So
sure.
you just have to trust that.
Yeah.
What you know what I mean? And
Oh,
so I will do
definitely.
it.
Well,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. The calling isn't necessarily, sometimes it's a very very hard pull, like
Mhm.
some of the times that I've gone up to Mount Baker or I've gone to Mount Adams where it's a lot stronger than this, but
Right.
this is pretty hard. And I think it's a little different, and the reason why I say that is because there must be a difference between ET stuff and Bigfoot stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm going into a Bigfoot situation versus an ET situation this time.
So, okay, and now I'm going to interview Lee. So, okay, and I mean, just because I'm trying to figure this out. So you definitely have it, can differentiate that sort of feeling. Like, I mean, it's not cut and dried, but you seem to have a tendency to recognize which way you're getting pulled or by what or you're being pulled. Is that what?
Yeah, it seems that way. The ET stuff is much stronger, and it seems like the Bigfoot stuff is less as strong. Is not as strong, not as you need to go right now. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Yeah. It's a little bit less than that. Like it's not
Okay.
as urgent.
I see. Okay.
Mhm.
And so that's going to be good. So you just stand out there for the day, or are you doing you're not doing an overnight thing, are you?
Yes, I am.
Atta
Overnight.
boy.
Yeah, I you know, it's definitely telling me that I need to go overnight. I've got,
Hmm.
you know, I carry a pointy stick with me, as
Yeah.
Dave would say, and
For sure.
I have some other things.
Well, yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah,
And well, that'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing that for sure because
yeah. It
that's
should be
awesome.
it should be pretty interesting, but I want to get into some other news stories because, like we
Absolutely.
said, the news is going nuts right now.
Yep.
It is absolutely insane. And there was a news story that came out just a couple days ago, I think about 2 or 3 days ago, about the Ark of the Covenant. And we had talked about it just briefly before the show.
Yeah.
And back in 1988, there was some people that were trained by our government in remote viewing,
Mm-hmm.
and they remote viewed the Ark of the Covenant.
Very
And where
weird.
was that?
Yeah. That I have a hard time with that one, not believing that there is the Ark of the Covenant. I'm skeptical. There's what I'm looking at. I'm skeptical.
Hey, me too. Me too. I'm
Yeah.
skeptical as well. I'm, we're getting into the woo, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can be skeptical about it, but nevertheless, it is
Sure.
news and we should report on it.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Yeah, it was very strange. I did see a little bit on it. And now I've heard differentiating reports. I've heard that they actually found it and have possession of it. And then I've heard that they just remote viewed it and know
Mhm,
where it is. Now, and here we go again. What
mhm.
do we do? A, is any of it real? B, which is it? They actually do have it or they don't have it. But it would be, hmm, that would be another monstrous, I guess, disclosure. If they say, okay, yeah, come here in this warehouse, like in, what was that movie with Indiana Jones, right? Come
Oh
in here, and
yeah.
this is where we've got all the stuff. I'm sure there is that going on, but not 100% sure about. I mean, they're reporting it from 1988, so, huh? So what have they done with it in the last, or they just kept it a secret? Nobody said anything for the last 30 years or 40
So
years.
so let's talk about what it is.
Okay.
First of all, right? I mean, they carried this thing into battle and it would weigh waste
Lay
to
waste.
any lay waste, if I can get it out of my mouth
You can
correctly,
do it.
that would be helpful. But it decimated any army, right?
Right.
And so these remote viewers
Mhm.
saw this Ark of the Covenant in the Middle East,
Right.
right? And they claim that they saw it under the Dome of the Rock,
Right.
okay? Guarded by not only ETs but possible humans as well.
Right.
And that's where it gets a little shaky for me, being that what the heck are they talking about?
Well, see, I'm trying to catch up a little bit here while we're doing this. And in full disclosure, I'm not going to be pretending like oh yeah, I know all about this. But
He's reading off a script, people.
I'm reading it. I'm telling you straight up. That's what we do here. There's no BS on Spaced Out Radio or LM 115. We're just coming to you with the way it works, right? So
with it live, yeah.
Yeah. So what they said is the people that actually, according to the CIA documents and social media, they were first declassified in 2000. So, okay, 1988, apparently the remote viewing went on, and then 2000 they declassified. But they allegedly did not know the object they were being tasked to find. So the people that were doing the remote viewing had no idea, allegedly, what they were looking for. So the psychic described a location in the Middle East that they claim housed the object and said it was being protected by entities, says a CIA document. Target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver, they said, allegedly not knowing they were trying to find the ark. Similar in shape to a coffin, and it's decorated with seraphim. So the declassified document showed several pages of drawings, depicts one of the four seraphim standing out on the corner of the ark, along with the drawing of mummies lined up on a wall. So visuals of surrounding buildings indicated the presence of a mosque dome, they added. So there's where your dome is coming from.
But wait a minute. They're saying mummies too. So what the heck?
Well, I don't know. But, yeah.
That would make you think of Egypt.
Oh, they were along with a drawing of mummies.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, still, you're right. It's kind of seems to... But
go
to the left a little bit.
Yeah, well, as you know, with remote viewing, it's not always a straight and cut dry thing.
No.
It's kind of here and there. And in fact, we should probably think about getting a remote viewer on so that we can dissect it a little bit and talk about it. But
yeah, that would be interesting.
Actually. It would be definitely. But you're seeing things all together, all encompassing, and you're trying to make sense of things. And sometimes things don't appear as an individual item, but blend together, so to speak, is what I understand. And so that might be a little bit difficult to decipher on a and narrow down to a fine point. And that's why they use several different people at the same time when they're remote viewing a target, is so that they can try to coalesce and collate, these items, these things that they're looking for, and get, a truer vision of what it is that they're after. But yes, very, very interesting story. Very interesting story. Now, if they had grabbed this thing and got it to the US, I'm sure we'd want it. But then again, it also seems like it has a purpose, according to the story, that there's a purpose for this thing, right? It's supposed to wait until a certain time when a certain person comes and unlock it. Just like the sword in the stone sort of situation, right? Where this individual comes and knows how to unlock the box to get to the device, to use it for whatever purpose it is.
Yes, the chosen one.
The chosen one, exactly.
You don't know. That's the scary part. Okay, so let's just put this all in perspective. I'm not questioning the fact. So let's say they know where it is, but the threat of it being opened by the wrong person, I wouldn't want to be in that lineup.
You're right, because people that have tried to interfere with this thing have, from what we understand, have come up dead.
Yes,
they have died.
Yeah. and you don't know. Well, I'm talking like I know, but I'm assuming you don't have any idea except maybe it's a calling, and I'm not being funny. Maybe it is a calling. Maybe there's something that draws that person or that group of people there to open the covenant, right? But yeah, I don't want to be in it. Like, okay, so I'm number 7. Okay,
Yeah, exactly. Right, right.
here, want my number?
You might,
I
you
want to
might
get
got a
mine.
whisper. You might have a whisper in your head, but boy, are you
Mhm.
sure? How sure you want to be?
Exactly. Oh, you can go ahead of me. That's great. No, not a problem.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No
yeah,
kidding.
would be interesting. Would be interesting. And of course, there was a lot of people on the other side of that. I mean, saying that this remote viewing wasn't worth the paper it was written on, and
Mhm.
this is all just bogus and an attempt to freak people out. And it's like, of course, always there's yin and yang, right? You got to have black and white, up and down, front and back. There's always it's a balance.
It is. It is a balance. I agree with you. So let's move on from dismemberment from opening the Ark of the Covenant.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about something else, and I don't know if you've talked about this new space jet, uh,
No.
on Dave Scott's show.
No, I have not. I think Dave dropped it or talked about it and had a conversation, but I have not. I know very little about this besides seeing the picture and going, dang, that's cool.
Right, and so here's the thing. Now I might have mentioned it on Dave Scott's show last weekend, but the thing that really gets me is
Mhm.
that this thing has been in operation for 5 or more years already, and
Right.
the darn thing can go
Right.
into space and fly around, and it doesn't necessarily need a pilot, which is
Uh,
freaking crazy to me.
yeah. Oh, no question. No question. I mean, I did hear that. Excuse me. I heard that it had been around for a while, and it's like, grand opening of something that's, a store that's been open for 5 years. But I did hear a little bit about that, and that is amazing. I mean, I'm just gonna throw a spin on it. So, where did this technology come from? You know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering where that leaves with the advancement or the
Mhm.
non-advancement of reverse engineering and technology. I'm just throwing some woo into this.
Yeah, well, you got to look at it. There is a different, obviously different types of motors and stuff that NASA's
Sure.
been working on and this and that.
Yeah.
And there is something called the plasma drive,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And that shoots out plasma instead of rocket fuel.
Right.
And apparently, that's much more efficient. You can carry a lot less of it and go farther and faster with this drive than you can with solid rocket fuel, rocket fuel.
Yeah, yeah.
So that could be something that this plane operates on.
Mhm. Mhm. Very cool looking, machine though. I was like, "Holy." It just yeah, looks like something out of the future, and then just
Okay, so
sounds
you've actually seen, because on Facebook and YouTube you see all these renderings and you don't know. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I've
100%.
probably seen 12 different renderings of this craft,
Mm.
and I don't know which one to believe. I don't know which one it looks like.
Yeah.
So, do you have any idea?
Ooh. Well, what I saw now that you've said that is it did not look like a rendering to me. What it looked like was, a promo video, and it was I saw it today or yesterday or what it was, but it was the aircraft's in a hangar, and the hangar opens up, and, there's all the ominous music and stuff like that. But, yeah, it was like almost like, an auto show introducing the new blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, does that ever look cool? I'll see if I can find it, and I'll actually try to throw it up on on our website
Yeah,
or something like that.
we could actually pop it up on present or invite. So you
Yeah.
can, now that that new button is there at the bottom, we can actually present things live if we'd like.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I'm pretty sure that that's what I saw, the animal that I saw. So
Yeah. Mel says it's powered by Element 115.
attaboy.
There you go. There you go.
For
Absolutely.
sure. For sure.
Quantum coffee. That's awesome. Love it. Love it.
No, it is cool, and going into space, that again, that blows my mind as well. So
Yeah.
I'd like to, well, yeah, maybe sneak a ride on it or something.
Yeah, that would be nice. So here's a couple of thoughts with that. Is
Okay.
like, they're not giving us like maximum elevation. Space is kind of like it's here or there, or what elevation is that? I think it's like 40. Space starts at like 47,000 feet or something
Yeah.
like that, or maybe it's even a little higher. But so they're not giving us an altitude, but if that thing is able to go into space, that's pretty interesting. And why didn't, if that's the case, wouldn't they be able to, if they had ships or planes or something that does that, wouldn't we be able to get the astronauts down sooner? I mean, what's going on there? I don't know. But
Oh, yeah, good, very good point. So
yeah.
I just pulled it up on my phone, but I think it may be rendering. Like I didn't get the video, but I did get the picture,
Mhm.
and yeah, it does look somewhat, for people that aren't looking at it as I'm sitting here yapping away. It almost looks like a spaceship. It really does. It's looks like a dual cockpit, and very
You've got
flat
it.
and narrow.
You have, my friend, you've got a camera in front of you. You can flip
Hey, you really want to
the
put
phone
that up
around
there?
and show it to everybody.
All right, if you want me to. This is what it's supposed to look like. Well, I know, but it's
Yeah, that's what we got. I mean,
okay.
that was the release that we got. So it's just it's not like the full shot of it, right? Yeah.
No, but that's the same one that I saw in the video. So yeah, it could have been AI or something like that. But if that's the case, that's pretty
That's
slick
kind of just
looking.
like the silhouette, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, the other part of this thing, they said, well, I should say Donald Trump said
Yeah.
that it can release as many drones as you want. I don't know what that means, but for a guy that says things off the cuff, you kind of have to listen to it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because you
Yeah.
don't know which nuggets are in there that maybe he's not supposed to say,
Yeah.
that he might
No,
have said, right? So that's where
for
my ears
sure.
perk up a little bit. Because he does tend to do that. He does tend to ad lib and go into some things where maybe he's not supposed to talk about, but he just lets things
Yeah.
slip a little.
Yeah.
And
Had some oops
so,
moments.
yeah, yeah. So
As many
thinking about,
drones.
right,
Yeah.
So as many drones as you want. Well, what does that mean? Does
Just add
obviously the
water.
drones are unmanned drones, but or what controls them? I mean, it could get into a whole lot
Mhm.
of things. So
Definitely.
where do we go with that? I don't know. And what use do they have, these drones that get that can come out of the craft? I have no idea.
No, exactly.
What are the options? I mean, are they defensive?
Ugh.
Maybe if you're gonna have a missile come at the plane, maybe you
Yeah.
release some of these drones that go hit the missile. Just like
I think you got dual
shrapnel.
purpose. Yeah, it could be. I think it'd be dual purpose. I mean, you would suspect was something to defend it. So yeah, you're right. It could either go out and attack something or defend it. So yeah, but that just kind of blew me away. I'm still stumbling over as many drones as you want, and I'm thinking, well, how do you fit as many as you want into one space? I'm just, uh, I don't know.
Hey, Debbie Nickerson. Anyway, yes. So do you have any more stories that you would like to touch on tonight before we
Well,
switch over?
yeah, we'll just run over into Dave's show. I'm sure he's not gonna mind that if we do that. Um, yeah, my phone's gonna start ringing any second now. So I'm just looking for it here. There was a story that I had, and I'm in the wrong section. I'm sorry.
I think we could
About
probably high five that.
yeah, hang on a second. Which way we go? There you go. There we go. There we go. So this is I've got just a few minutes here, so I'll try to rip through this. Bill Letson, a retired firefighter living in Central Coast of California, he talked about having a powerful near-death experience. So he was working as a paramedic and a firefighter at Station 11 in Goleta, California, during a flu epidemic that overwhelmed Santa Barbara's hospitals. One call brought him to a woman trapped in a dark room with the curtain shut, suffering badly. Bill acted quickly to help her. He climbed over, put the oxygen mask on her face, and just as she adjusted the mask, she exhaled. He accidentally inhaled her breath, and he immediately felt something was wrong. A couple days later, Bill became very sick and worse than he'd ever felt before. Went to the hospital, and they gave him some medication and IVs and stuff to keep him going and try to settle him down. And it seemed to work. But he said, I'm going to head home. He felt really good. But the nurse says, no, you know what? You should hang around here and just in case. So he did. And then so he started getting worse again while he was laying in the hospital bed. And at around 1:30 in the morning, he says he left his body. He
Hmm.
described the feeling as if he had been released from a hot, stuffy closet into a vast open space. It was an incredible sense of freedom. He found himself in a world filled with massive, glowing, colorful stars. These stars felt welcoming and full of love. Some people called them orbs, but Bill, they appeared to be energetic beings. He realized that in his form, he himself was a massive cloud, like a massive cloud-like energy being. The feeling beyond anything that he had ever known, and it was pure joy and freedom. He realized that being on Earth was difficult and challenging, and as he moved through this experience, he suddenly remembered who he was. He was shocked that he had ever forgot who he actually was. So as he flies through this incredible space, he sees glowing orbs, colorful stars, and everything surrounding him. Things are super great, everything's super no problem, and all of a sudden he feels like he's falling and he lands on a table. So
Hmm.
there are these beings, and they're in front of him, and they're stand about 3 foot tall. They're little chubby figures wearing hooded robes, and you can see part of their faces, and then they're grinning from ear to ear. Their eyes are bright, and they're excitedly asking him questions, and he's like, how do you know me? I'm like, I don't understand who these people are. So this keeps going on, and he goes, everybody that's coming into this room, these beings are like, hey, long time no see, sort of thing. So they're asking, how'd you do it? Where you've been? How's this been going? How's that been going? And he's like, how do I know you? You're not even human. So
Hmm.
the the leader shows up for this of this group and says, hey, look, even though you know you're here, I'm going to send you back. You're not ready to come back to us yet. And he was like, well, I don't want to go. It's only my wife and my family. They'll get over me. So they sent him. They said, no, you got to go. So they sent him back, and he went back to the hospital. He woke up, and the nurse says, he goes, I had something happened to me last night. He goes, I don't know what it was. He says, but I left my body. He goes, the nurse responded, telling him, honey, you were in escrow, but you fell out, and now you're back with us. So he he had said he went to a psychologist and stuff and said, mm-mm. He said this really happened. They under hypnosis they checked him, said nope, this is totally legit. And so that's what he said. He goes, everybody was thinking of the grand staircase and the pearly gates. He goes, nope, that wasn't his experience at all.
Interesting. So he had an alien experience.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, it has come to the end of our show, and I want to tell you that next week we have Gene on, an anthropologist, talking about Bigfoot.
That should be good.
Should be really, really interesting. You know, I am sorry that we've been gone for 2 weeks, but I'm glad we're back. And Dave's up next. Do you have any last words?
High
Tim?
five, my friend.
All right. Here's the outro. We'll see you next week.